Welcome to another installment of the Cool Kids Table podcast. My guest today is CIF Championship coach. Coached me for how long ago was that? 2006. So running up on 14 years ago. Um, cool dude. Big part in my development. As a young male in my coming of age years. I'll do the goodbyes after. The listen here. He's already here. He knows the drill. So we'll get started. Let me make sure his mic's on. Should be good to go. And we are
Yep.
live. All right. First and foremost, thank you, Coach, for joining me. Um, I'm here with my, well, not old, but my a long time ago, my coach back in high school, 2006, Mountain View Vikings. A lot of the listeners went there, might know you from there. CIF Championship winning coach, Ron Savage.
I am. I'm really happy to do this, man. I think it's been cool to watch. You guys stay in touch with each other. Um, the way you guys have, it's been cool to see you do this. It's been, people could say what they want about Facebook and the arguments and the this, that, and the other, but you know, um, it's been great to see you guys like grow up because I get a group of kids. I have them for 4 years. They're special to me. We develop relationships. Um, you guys are like kids to me for 4 years, and then a lot of times I might not ever see you guys again. You know, and in our situation, obviously, I we moved and I haven't seen. I think the only person I've seen since I left was Steve Kennedy because he came to our game against Monrovia in 2016. But at least with Facebook, I can see you guys and a little bit and see how you've grown up and you are as adults and stay in touch with you in some capacity.
Yeah, it's through social media because I was just thinking about that. I believe it was Easter. You posted a picture of your kids, and I was like, "Dude, that's Cole." Like I remember
Yeah,
when your
yeah,
wife was pregnant, and
yeah.
and now I have a 4-year-old. So it's like
I know. I
time
thought the same
flies.
thing. Yeah. No, when I saw her, like, which the first time, and like, I think the other day you might have even posted a memory on Facebook that I saw, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like she's getting so big, and
Yeah.
Cole's a freshman now, and
Wow. Yeah.
he's a freshman, and he played JV for all 9 games before the and played with us in the fall, and he's played with me in the summertime the last couple of years, but this year when he played with us in the fall and started playing in the spring, it was definitely you know a difference. It was really kind of surreal, but I still have a picture on my my filing cabinet at school of me tossing them in the air. And
Oh,
I know Kennedy's made a comment a couple times like, that's the same dude you used to throw 50 feet in the air, and I think he's going to die on his way down. So yeah, it is crazy how time flies.
I mean, it has been beautiful to keep track of, like, I got you. I had a couple other faculty members on, and so it's been nice to, like, because like sometimes I'll trip out. Like I have different people, like when I was 21, 22, and they were 18, 19, and now I'm like 27, and then I got new 21-year-olds like training people at work or whatever. And then you leave the job and then you see them grow up. The little kid that was immature, late to work every day, always had an excuse, always had something, and now he has his life together. Because, not saying because of me or anything like that, but you just see these, like, the process of their growth. And it
Yeah.
always kind of trips me out to be like, dude, I remember when this motherfucker would come in drunk. I used to be this guy, right? So drunk as hell in the morning, like hungover. I can't work, yada yada yada. And then now he's like killing it, whatever that person might be doing in life.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. It's weird just to see the growth process, the maturity process of anything, and just from day one to the last day that you're doing anything with them, or then you come back X amount of years later, and they're just totally different individuals. All of a sudden, you guys that were running around and I'm trying to get to figure out how to sack bunt or squeeze or this, that, and the other. Now all of a sudden, freaking, you know, you've got sorry, somebody just called me.
That's okay.
I just hung up. Don't worry.
Mhm.
But all of a sudden now you guys got like kids of your own, and baby apparently is trying to have a whole baseball
Yeah,
team.
he's on track. He has 2 under
You
2.
know, and
Ozzy has
that's a lot of
4.
pull. That's a lot of pulls for his kids to run, because
Yeah.
he ran a few in his time. But no, it's like, yeah, you said Ozzy has 4 now, and
Three
it's just
boys, so he's
weird.
on his way. He's on his way.
So it's really, it's crazy, because we're living in a time where you just everybody says, they talk about always being plugged in and plugged into this and plugged into that, and they're right, but it's a situation where if you want, you can always be connected to people in your past if you can find them.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you go your separate ways, and boom, that's it. It's a done deal. You don't ever see this person again the rest of your life, or you might run into them 50 years down the road or something like that. But that the plus side of social media is you get to keep track of people that you cared about, um, and you get to see how things turned out after your chapter's been closed with them.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. That's like you want you, not in the sense you're not going to be a part of it, but you get to see it from afar, if you will.
Right.
Which,
Like, I mean, true story. Like, and you asked me if I listened to the whole 4 hours,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like,
I was like, because you said you liked all that garbage.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that's
Like,
long.
no,
That's
I listened to an hour of it. So true story. And I think you posted it on Facebook for me directly, or
yeah,
messaged it to me.
yeah.
But I literally, like, no joke, I was scouting 2 baseball games that day. One at San Jacinto and one at Emmett High School. And, I guess I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm on Facebook as I'm leaving the school in my truck, and I see that you posted it. So I opened it up and I'm listening to it, and I went and stopped and ate in between games, and I listened to it then, and I listened to it all the way till I got to my next stop. And it's like, it's the 2 of you. It's you two. There's nothing different. Like, I'm sitting there by myself in this restaurant, and people had to think I was crazy, because I'm like laughing, because it's like listening to you two together, like when you were like 15, 16, 17 years old. But it's not, because you're talking about different stuff, and you're grown up and you have your own lives, but you're given an opportunity, and people that knew you when you were that age can just hear the fact that it's just the 2 of you in your realm doing your thing. And that's the cool thing about
That's. I mean, and that's the best part for me. At first it was kind of like a little tricky. I was scared to ask you. That's why when you said, I was like, hell yeah, let's make this happen. If I were to ask people, he has 2 kids. They're both under 2. His wife needs him at all times. He wants to be with his kids. So you're like, yo, bro, let's have a couple beers and catch up. It's like, oh, I got important things to do. But it's like, let's do it for the podcast. It's like, oh, I could do an hour of that. Like, let's hang out
it.
for an
Right.
hour. Let's make it happen, because I'm gonna help you out do this thing. And to me, Ozzy, same thing. 4 kids. We did it in his. He made me dinner while I got home. While I got to his home from work, he made me dinner. Get there, we eat, we catch up a little bit, we jump on, we do 2 hours, and I'm like, dude, if I were to ask Ozzy, it's 10 p.m. Can I come over for dinner? He'd be like, dude, I got kids. Like, get out of here. So it's
Right.
a great icebreaker to get into people's. They're my friends, right? You're my coach. Like,
Right.
we would make it happen, but under those times, it's kind of like, oh, I got other things to do. So just once we get it going, it kind of feels like I'm glad we're doing this. And I, even in the moment, I try to enjoy the moment, because I know how rare it is for it to happen. Because when I run into them, it's like so and so's son's birthday party. So we're all kind of there catching up. Hey, how you been? How are the kids? But you don't really get that whole, hey man, how's you know, everything else, the
Right.
full hour conversation. So it's I'm sometimes I don't even care if people listen, to be honest with you. I'm just like, as long as I could go back one day and listen to this, like that's all I need.
Yeah. No, that is, and it's crazy because obviously, like I'm in a different spot of the tunnel of life than you are, and you understand it pretty well, but it doesn't, it doesn't change because as you get older and people move here and people move there. I mean, you think about it. I am roughly an hour and a half from you guys. The way life is, I mean, hour and a half might as well be flipping a different state away, and people get busy and the one thing that Ambruzo, Ambruzo's name is what I think Ramos. His last he changed his
They changed
last
it, right?
name.
Yeah, I heard about
Yeah,
that.
I think it's Ramos now. I could be totally wrong about that. But he reached out to me this year and texted me because he's back coaching now, and he gave me access to their huddle. He does stuff on huddle and with his players, and he asked me to take a look and give him some suggestions and just see what was going on. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this game, and it's at Mountain View. I haven't been back to that field. I mean, I have not been back to that field since we left. I mean, I've been to Arroyo because we had a playoff game, but I have not been back to Mountain View. We were driving somewhere. We stopped at Mountain View so our kids could see the school, you know. But I saw the baseball field, but I haven't seen a game there since I left. And so time speeds up. I hadn't talked to Ambruzo probably in like I I think the last time I talked to Ambruzo was the first year we opened up the school. They came out and played us in a football game, and I think that might have been the last time I talked to him because you just go your separate ways, and time starts to speed up. And he's got a kid now, and I have two kids, and our lives go in different directions. And I mean, that's one good thing to see about your group is you guys still seem to be as tight as you possibly can, but doing stuff like this, like if you had told me, what 2006, in 2020, you and I are going to do a podcast together, I'd be like, you're crazy,
Yeah.
and we loosely brought it up in that that Facebook thread when you gave me the link, and then when I saw you posted a couple of weeks ago or last week, I'm like, I'd love to do it. I your group means a lot to me. Mountain View meant a lot to me. Um, you meant a lot to me, and to be able to help you, and just to be able to talk and catch up with you, and it just it means the world to me, that that you would even want to go and sit down and talk for
I mean,
an hour.
when this is over, we're gonna have to do it in person because I'm actually like an hour away from Mount View too. You said Hammond. I'm like, dude, that's not that far from me. That's like 30 minutes. I'm in Moreno Valley, so I assume you're out
Are
here
you
too.
really?
Yeah. So I'm the one
I
that's
didn't
far
know
from the
you were
group.
out here.
Yeah.
Holy
I'm like,
moly! We freaking went and played Canyon Springs last year.
oh shit.
Yeah, I've got one of my assistant coaches lives off I want to say it's Seattle Slough because he lives in an area where it's
No fucking
freaking
way. That's
yeah
down this. This is literally.
yeah.
It's a turnabout. That's down the street from me. I could walk there in 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's where he lives on the corner of like I think it's like Seattle Slough and freaking I don't know. It's like a little turn in of like a cold stack. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
That's where
that's
I'm
like
at.
it takes me like 30 minutes to get there.
That's
30
right off
takes
of
40
Paris,
minutes to
right?
get there. Yeah,
Right off
yeah,
of
yeah.
Paris. I'm literally.
Yeah.
My backyard is adjacent to Paris.
Yeah, I had no idea
Yeah.
you were out here.
Been out here about a year,
So yeah,
maybe.
we'll definitely
Yeah,
have to
well,
get
after
together.
this, yeah, well, in person. Um, but like you were saying, like just the process of it all, because when we were like 19, 20, every weekend. We go golfing, we go grab burgers, we go grab some beers, everything together. But then everybody started growing up. Everybody started having kids. Some people start working nights. I was always working weekends. So you just start, not by choice, but you just kind of start distancing
Oh
yourself.
yeah.
And so you're appreciative of those moments, the baby showers, the weddings. You make time to be at those things because, seeing each other 3 times a weekend now turns out into 1 time a month. And sometimes
Yep.
baby's sick. So the next time their baby's sick, so you don't see each other for 3 months. And then it's like, can you make the Super Bowl party? I'm going to the work Super Bowl party. And now, so you just kind of, I mean, every time I see the guys or I'm with the guys, I feel like, and some of the guys I see more often than others, right? But I think that's in every group. But just being able to keep in touch, it's fucking, to me, it's cool. That's why I don't delete my social media. Sometimes I'll take a hiatus 2-3 months,
Right.
but then like, some people delete it and then they're back like, in a month. I'm like, dude, I just don't log on. Need a break. We all need a break here and there, but
Right.
that way I can still catch up with them, and it's been cool.
No, and you're right. I mean, I made a comment to somebody, I think right before all this crap went down. And I'm like, if it wasn't for people that I didn't see and for the memories that pop up on Facebook,
Yeah, memories are the best.
I'd probably be done with it. But you're right. It's the ability to stay in touch that just that keeps you there. And I mean, it's probably in their algorithm,
Yeah.
but you know, but it is. It's and like you said, like I think more people and me included, and should probably step away every now and then. But it's not a bad thing to have. It's like anything in life. Use it right, it's a great thing. Use it
It's a
wrong,
tool.
it's
Yeah, it's a tool.
freaking
Like you
yeah. It's
taught
a
me.
tool.
It's a tool.
Yeah,
It's a tool in in
it's
the
yeah.
toolbox.
It's
Use
a
it
toolbox.
properly.
It's a tool in the toolbox. We've gotten big in in our baseball program. We've gotten big in those bat sensors, the blast bat sensors that you put at the bottom of the bats, that measure different stuff. And we've gotten big into those in the off season, and people have been like, man, I don't, how do you do it? And I just said, it's a tool. It doesn't take away from coaching. It's just it gives you information to use. It's all about how you use it. And Facebook's no different. It's just another tool in the toolbox. Friggin', fire. You can make a steak, or you can burn down somebody's house with the same tool.
Exactly.
It's all about how you want to use it.
And I'd love to jump into that about the tools because some of the things yourself and Wilson, I was with Wilson for 2 years. For those listening, they really thinks I was a good baseball player for some reason. I'm like, I only made varsity senior year. Like I wasn't that good. I was okay. I was part of the team, but I'm conscious of my skill level. I was like, I was good enough to be on the team, but I wasn't like a star. But yourself and Wilson really made me from a so average player into, like, I would say not a star or anything like that, but a above average defender, part of the team. And it was a lot of I don't want to like say it wrong, but like some of the quotes you use, some of the words you used of encouragement, the positive reinforcement, all that, dude, I saw it work firsthand with me. That's why I'm so much about that, like, hey, you failed today, come back tomorrow. I remember when we used to run, like, we used to do the summer program. We did baseball all year round at Mount View with you, and we do all those core, and like, right now at Arroyo, they're playing football, like let them win football. Like we're going to beat them baseball. How are they going to beat us in football and beat us in baseball? And so
Right.
all those little things that like started adding up. And when we'd be tired, you'd be like, hey, Arroyo right now, they're going to run a little extra because, they haven't won a championship in 2 years. They want what you have, like, and you're going to give it to them. And I remember that would make me, I don't know if you remember, but some days after practice, I'd go run a mile or two extra because I'd be like, one of the best quotes you've ever said was, well, at least to me, was you're only as strong, your team is only as strong as your weakest player. So I always told myself, don't be the weakest player, don't let the guys down. Don't let the guys down. So I knew, what was I good at? Let's be great at that. I was never going to be the batting third, batting fourth. I knew that then, but I was like, if we ever need, an emergency pinch run or something like that, that's where I make my killing. So I just worked my ass off under your tutelage with, with Coach Wilson. I was with him for 2 years. Same thing, just started batting me. I think my sophomore year, I was batting like 8 or 9. Halfway through the year, I'm either leading off or batting second, depending on who's pitching. And that's the kind of thing, like, hey, you want it, earn it in practice. And so I've always pushed that in my professional life. Like when I see youngsters come in, like I said, I see them like, hey, dude, different aspect, right? If you're not here 10 minutes early, you're already late. Like you got to get in this habit of doing things right, doing things right. And it just kind of always made me rise to the top at it, wherever I was at, be it construction, landscaping, gardening, warehouse. Always quickly, just I was telling me, how do you do these things? I'm like, I have an athlete mentality, even though I'm out of shape. I
Right.
have the
No,
athlete
yeah,
mentality,
I hear you.
I gotta
You-
do what I can right and make sure that other people are doing what they can right. Like I'm gonna expect perfection. Because also another thing you said, like I'm okay with physical error. We're all gonna make physical errors. You were a big Giants fan. I'm sure you still are. So Barry Bonds makes errors, but he doesn't forget how many outs there are. When he's on the bases, he's counting. He's looking at where his outfielders are. In between the pre-pitch. He's
Right.
lounging around, taking in the scenery, but when it's time for the pitch, he's down, ready to. And all these things are like that's all preparation. That's not about skill level. Anybody can prepare, and so that helped me. Like, and that's why I said like this would be great because that helped me in so many ways on the field and off the field. Because it's like one of those things where I told my dad not too long ago, like you're not a you're not a child till you're a parent. Like now the things that my daughter does, I'm like, oh man, my parents were so good to me. And then
Yeah.
the same thing now where I'm like the supervisor, I'm the lead, I'm the manager, and I'm like why do we make life so hard for him? All we had to do was run these polls. Why didn't we do and that's one of those things where I knew I had to put in the extra work, the hard 90s, the making the bunt was perfect, all those things where I knew like I'm not gonna hit it over the fence, but I know that if they need a fucking uh, hit it up, well, I'll be capable of that because that's something I can control. I can't control my power, but I can control hitting it
Right.
up the middle, whatever it may have been. So,
Yeah.
how do you do about
And
that?
that, here's the thing. It's like we've got you for 4 years, and there's a lot of coaches in the world, and there's a lot of coaches in the world that they want to win games. And when I first started coaching, I'm sure that I was really big on winning games, and I mean nobody wants to lose, and I'm big on winning games now. But what I've got you for 4 years. It's not about what I can get out of you for 4 years. It's what you can get out of me for the next 50 years of your life. It's a game, and I've been blessed to have been around some great coaches that have taught me a lot that I can turn around and give to kids and players and people like yourself. But in all my times at Mountain View and I think we won. I think I won 2 championships there in the 4 years I was there. Um, it's if I recall correctly, I never hit fourth. I never played center field. I never threw a single pitch. And that was you guys, and that was you guys that did it. And I'm here for you guys, and it's not the other way around. And yeah, I get the accolades of my peers and people. Hey, you did a great job, and it led me to another great job. But it's about you. What we're talking about 16, 10, 14 years later, sitting here telling me like, look, this is about the fact that I can do this. I've done this in my life, and I'm able to do this in my life because, and you hit the nail on the head. We we want to get kids. If I can get my entire group of kids to play at a higher level than their talent, then I'm going to be pretty successful as a coach. You always had a way to play higher than your talent level. You got more out of yourself than tons of players did. And I think another thing that you hit on is you said that you've always been very, very self-aware. Well, when you're self-aware, like you did, you can go, how can I be successful in this environment? I'm not going to go out pitch Fabian. Okay. I'm not going to go out catch Ozzy or whatever. What can I do to be successful? and you go and do it, and you succeeded at that, and you busted your butt, you know. It was great to have the tradition at Mountain View, and it helped a lot, and it helps that El Monte is such a small. I mean, it's not a small community, but it's a real small community, and you guys hated to lose to each other and hated to lose to Arroyo, and you didn't want to lose to El Monte, and because you guys bought in to what I was pitching to you guys, and you guys were a close group of friends, it led to a lot of our success. Um, but if you guys don't, if you guys don't have that work ethic, and there's a phrase, it's called a glue guy, and the phrase a glue guy is he's kind of a glue to the entire team, and he gets along with everybody, and when the Cubs won the pennant, for example, not the pennant, the World Series, David Ross was that glue guy for the team. And you go to a lot of teams nowadays, and it's like a Albert Pujols who speaks both English and Spanish and can connect the entire clubhouse in a conversation. And I really truly believe this. You were a huge glue guy in high school. I mean, if you had enemies, I didn't know about it.
Not till after high school.
You always had that smile on your face, no matter what. You never seemed to be in a bad mood. You always did what you asked. I asked you, like, you said, well, why hadn't we have just done this? Now looking back on, that's kids. But you always did what you were asked of. You never complained. I didn't have. I think I had like 1.5 parent meetings the entire time I was at Mount. But I never got complaints from you. You were never disgruntled, or if you were, you never brought it to fruition and brought the team down. You seem to be one of those glue guys that just made everybody want to play a little harder, and that you could just kind of, you had the ear of everybody on the team, and you were able to bring a lot of people together.
Just to add to that, I mean, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but it's funny. That's why I was kind of smiling. No, because of my job before the corona, that's what they were telling me. Like, dude, when they said they would cut hours and all this, I'm like, I'm out. Like, I'm not gonna drive this far because to be able to be near my daughter, I literally work down the street from Mountain View. So I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna drive all the way out here for her fucking part-time job. I could just grab her on the weekends. She's not in school. It's not a big deal. And like they said, dude, you're our glue. Like, if you leave, like, everything's gonna fall apart because everybody sees you here. They think that everything's gonna be all right. When we lose you, everybody knows. And I was just like, well, how's that not my fault? Like, that's, I'm just an employee. Like, don't put that on me. They should be aware of the situation, but, just kind of like, so it's hearing that, heard that like 2 months ago, and hearing it now, I'm like, I didn't consider myself that, but I just felt like at the time, these were my friends. These are the guys that we would stay after practice and walk to BBQs, go to Big D's, go to Mountain View Park and watch one of the Little League games that somebody's sibling was on, so we would still hang out after.
Yeah.
It wasn't just we're on the baseball field, now we're leaving all our home, it's like, no, we're going to hang out after this. So I always felt like that was our thing. I'd walk to school with these guys, hang out with them between classes. So it was just an easy thing. And I don't think we ever had an issue as far as like, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you will. You see a lot of baseball, the Evan Longoria, BJ Upton type thing,
right?
In center field when they were both in Tampa.
Oh, and yeah.
BJ just kind of jogged up there, and Evan had to get in his face. And when I see things like that, I'm like, that never happened with us, because I felt like, personally, I can only speak for myself, but I felt like I can't do that to them because I wouldn't want them to do that to me.
Right.
And so I always felt like it wasn't the pressure, but almost just kind of like, we can't be like the days ago, to use your guys' words, yours and Wilson's. We can't just be, grabbing ass in the outfield. We got to take this seriously, because I completely bought in because I saw what we were capable of, Sophomore year, some of the team made varsity. We were on JV. And I think that's the year you guys won league as well. We won league. So I think only the freshmen came in like second. So we almost had the trifecta. Right. And it was just kind of the whole program's doing great. So yeah, they didn't win first on the freshman squad, but they were in second, which is rare for Mountain View. And just these things start kind of clicking, like, dude, we're pretty good. Like, and you start believing in
Right.
yourself. And so then when you say, hey, I know last week we did X amount of whatever, right? 10 poles or this. Today we're gonna push it to 15 because your endurance is, you're like, at the time you're like, what the fuck's endurance? Like
Right.
it's hot out here. What is he talking about? And it's like, no, you guys gotta push it because one day it's gonna be extra innings and the other team's gonna be tired and you're gonna be prepared. So what would you rather be, tired or prepared? And next thing you know, we're just running like, this is the seventh inning. This is the seventh inning. Now this is the eighth. This is all extra. This is all extra. And so I always take that into account to the best of my abilities, right? Because sometimes we do get lazy. As you know, you get some perks being a manager. You get some perks, and you're like, I always tell myself, don't forget what got you to the dance. You know, don't forget what got you here. Like, if you start slacking, people will notice because you don't slack. So the day you start slacking, it's like, what's going on over here? So it helps me hold myself accountable and hold others accountable, because if you're holding them accountable and not yourself, they notice. So I
Right.
feel like you got to push yourself more than them, so how are they going to say something bad about you when you're the one, like, example, running the 15 poles, and then they say, oh, well, how come so and so didn't run? I'm like, he already finished, kind of thing. uh for a lack of a better analogy with work, but that always helped me kind of assess things. Like you said, even then I was aware of, I didn't realize it, to be honest. I was just kind of a dumb kid, like, okay, they say run 15 poles, got to get used to running 15 poles. That's why I ran those miles after, so I wouldn't be
Right.
tired. But it was fun. I got to tell you, like, I heard it from Wilson first. Maybe it was your quote, because I remember that big Facebook thread a few years back. Like, remember James Wilson quotes, and then you
Man, that
chimed in.
dude stole so many quotes because he ended up at Mountain View before me.
But
I mean, that's how I ended up at Mountain View, was because of him. He was the first coach I ever hired. And
really,
so I'm like, those aren't even his quotes, man. Those are all mine.
yeah, like, it's. I forgot what I was gonna say. One of his quotes, or one of your quotes, but it'll come back to me because there were so many of them. But just, like, dude, it was fun. Like, winning is fun. Like, you're having fun out here. And after the fact, I saw Remember the Titans. I don't know if you guys got it from there, but like, being out here isn't fun. Winning is fun, and you buy into that. Like, I remember we talked about it. Jasad talked about it. Fabian talked about it. Ozzy talked about it. When we lost, there was nobody on the buzz talking. Like, we took that too hard. Like, we don't lose games. We don't lose to Gabrielina. We don't lose. So how can you be smiling and cheering on the buzz? Leave that for the softball girls. We're gonna fucking just sit here and quiet. And everybody knew it was unspoken rule. Like, you can't be happy. We just fucking lost. It doesn't matter. We didn't get blown out. We never got blown out. We lost 3-2 in a great game, but that's a shit game because we didn't win. And everybody just knew, like, come next day, forget about it. Now let's practice for that
Yeah.
Friday game. But
You know, you hear this all the time. It's like, can you have good culture without winning? Can you make it fun without winning? You can have good culture without winning. Things can be fun without winning. But sooner or later, if you're not winning, you're not having fun. If you're not having fun, the culture will drop. And it's just, I don't know if it's a fact of life. I don't know if it's a fact of humanity. I don't know what it is, but dude, being good sucks. Like, it sucks to want to be good because you want to be good. I just heard a quote today, and I don't know if I've ever really actually heard Kobe Bryant say it. You probably would know more than me about that. Um, but the quote was, "Do you want to be the beast, or do you want to do the things the beasts do?" And and if you want to be the beast and you want to win and you want to be good, it takes work that other people aren't willing to do and aren't willing to put in. And unfortunately, 99% of the time, guess what? That sucks. That work right there sucks because, you know, like you said, like, we would go after practice and we would do this and we would stay and run this and I'd stay and run an extra mile and I'd do this. Well, guess what? You know, and you can remember the classes you got a C in. When you're an average student, you showed up, you did what was expected of you, and you were a C student. You want to be a B student, you got to go right here. You want to be an A student, you got to go right here. And you guys came in after an amazing group of players.
Yeah,
Uh,
they were badass.
Coach Purcell. Coach Purcell, God rest his soul, was
He passed
there
away?
before me. Oh, a while ago.
Really? I wasn't aware of
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. Died in a car accident a
Oh
while ago.
shit. Damn, sorry to hear
Maybe
that.
5 years ago now, 5, 6 years
Wow.
ago. Yeah. Um, he had a great group of players, and I had what was left after he left, which was an incredible group of players still. You
Yeah.
know,
The
um,
Marks, the
it,
Victors, the
yeah,
Erics.
yeah. And you guys came in off the heels of them, and I mean, you if you want, and I remember, I guarantee you that we had this conversation. You want to be them, then you're going to have to do what they did. You're going to have to pay the price, because it's not like, you know, when I came in, you had Henry Barrera at Resme, you had Mark Robinson, and there was freaking, you couldn't walk without tripping over a scout, you
Yeah,
know.
I remember that.
The year after that, Tucker, we played Temple City and Ryan Tucker was there. After that, the talent pool really became super even. And it came down to what group of players was going to pay the price. And, I was blessed with a group of players that were willing to pay the price day in and day out. Um, and it wasn't just that. It's like, you got experience um, that you probably wouldn't get necessarily, because I remember, when we would play winter ball, we were, Mountain View was a big time dual sport, triple sport, freaking 900 sport athlete school, and so the hamster wheel didn't stop because half of our starters were playing football or this, that, and the other. We just grabbed you guys that were younger and brought you in the mix. And then when finally it was your turn to eat at the table, in the spring, you weren't lost when you had to do it, and you guys were willing to pay the price, and you guys were willing to go as young kids, before you were ready to play in these fall ball games, because you had to. And, probably looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, I get to do this. I'm thinking, man, this kid's really signing up to do this right now. Um, and then you paid like you said, I ran 15 poles of practice. I went and ran a mile after practice because I wanted to be ready for those 15 poles, and that's paying the price of wanting to be good. And I was blessed. And at Tahquitz, I am blessed as well with a great group of players. And I can say this for my career, which this was my 20th year as a head coach. Um, I have been blessed with far greater players and far greater parents and far greater administrators to work for, and far greater coworkers than I've ever had bad ones. Even my last year at Mountain View, which we were riddled with injuries, and it was my only losing season there. I was blessed with good talent. We had some kids quit because of family issues. Um, we had, I want to say it was our number one start. Um, one of our start, I think it was Flores got injured.
Yeah, he was
Leander
playing
got
right
in.
field.
Yeah, Leander got injured. We had a kid quit because he had to get a job. It was just, you lose half of your starters like when the season starts. And there's only so much you can do. But I've always been blessed with I've been blessed with great group of kids, um, to coach my entire career, and my time at Mountain View with you guys, and you guys gave me everything you had, and everything you had, and even more. And I have I could not say, even Fabian, I can't say one bad thing about him.
And oh man, and right back at you. It's like, because I know everybody has their own opinion, everybody whatever. I was like, dude, to me, my dad was always around. I've had a great dad. A lot of people say like, well, it's because some of these coaches come in and especially like in that type of community like Amani, there's like a lot of single moms type of thing. I was like, dude, I had a great dad. My dad was always around. He was just always working, so he could never make it to the games. But my dad always like, how'd it go? Like, batted seventh, 1 for 3, got an outfield assist. I was like, all right, cool. Do your part, and just he knew the system. And like when I was young, I was really good at soccer. They wanted me to play soccer. I didn't like soccer. I did, but I preferred baseball. So it was like I could have been. Now I'm not saying I could have been great, but it was there for me to be great. I was playing at an early age, but I just preferred baseball. I'd rather be a shitty baseball player than a good soccer player, at least at that time, right? Maybe even now. I mean, I was like, that wasn't for me. I enjoyed it. I like not the physicality of it, like the endurance, always being running up and down the field, all that. But that wasn't, baseball was my love. And so seeing Wilson just a different type of coach, right? Like funny, kind of not laid back, but kind of, hey, we're having fun. But when it's time to go, like we're going, like no bullshit, just kind of go.
Oh, yeah,
27 outs, and you're on 25, and somebody makes an error. We're doing it again, and you're like, he's kidding, right? And you're starting up again, and it's like, okay, don't, like I told you, it's not a pressure. Don't make a mistake, but just can't let everybody down now. Make sure I crow hop everything perfectly because I cannot be the error on 19. And it's that pressure where when it comes down to game time, it doesn't matter because you're used to it at practice. So when you practice for pressure, you're ready for the game time. And same thing with you. These little things, we're adolescents, right? We spend more time at school than we do at home. And you just kind of like, yo, man, heard you guys did this weekend. Like, how the fuck did you do all that, coach? I got years on the street. Okay. Well, yeah, man, I'm not telling you how to live your life. Just make better decisions. There's same thing you would always say. A Royal that would go to bed at 9, and we knew in our heads, like, dude, we saw them at the party. They were not home at 9. But you would tell us, like, dude, they slept at 9. They were early on Saturday. They came to practice, and you guys are out here going around doing your ruckus, So just kind of those things, kind of, even though they maybe sometimes fall on deaf ears, you still are aware of them. Okay, he's looking out for me. You had that whole. I mean, I was a pretty good student, when I chose to be. So I had like a 3.5, but I remember you did the whole, nobody below a 2.5 is going to play here. So if you need tutoring, we're going to open this up so that you guys, and that's a thing that you kind of like, wow, like not only is he coaching, but he's also like lending us a hand in our schoolwork because he doesn't just want us to be baseball players, he wants us to be educated. And I never took those things for granted. I thankfully didn't need it, but I was aware of those things you were doing for us at the same time. I want to say it was your wife's classroom, as a matter of fact, that was open for us after.
Yeah.
And so, like those things, like what I told you through the message, like that took a big toll on me because if you remember correctly, the year after I graduated, I needed a couple recommendation letters for a great job that opened up. And I went to Ms. B and I told her, I asked her for a letter as well, but I needed 3. I told her, can I have Ron Savage's information and James Wilson? Because I couldn't go to you guys directly. This was like before Facebook and all that. She's like, I don't think I can do that. I'm like, dude, they'll be okay with it. Just let them know that it's for me. They'll be fine. Like, oh, you don't want to ask another teacher? I'm like, it would mean more if it's from them because they saw the kind of player I was. So I know they'll make a good recommendation letter better than, oh, he was a good student. He came in, he did his homework. And like, they'll know how to hype me up. And I don't want to lie and say I still have that letter, but I still remember what you wrote. I still remember what James wrote. I still remember what Ms. B wrote. Like, to me, it was like humbling, like to hear those things about you. And I got the job and everything, but it was just kind of like, when you go in there, we're like, look, this is my coach. I was with him for 2 years. This is my varsity coach. I was with him for 1 year. This is the administrator at my school. I was with her for 3 years. And, these are the best recommendation letters I could bring. And they're like, so you think you'd be a great part of the team? I'm like, yeah, because I know that I'll be a great part of this team, but I'm also going to look out for everybody else. I'm going to need them to carry their own weight. And I know how to make that happen. Because at the time I already had a job. So I kind of seen early on, like, oh man, some people are real shitty at their job and they just, asset, you know, like they do the bare minimum, but they get the bare
Yeah,
minimum. They've been here 7 years and they have not earned any promotion, and they're okay with that. And we don't need people like that. We want people that want better for themselves, not just here, but in life. And they're like, the fuck, you're 18 years old talking like that? And I was like, because this is the things that my father, yourself, Wilson, and some teachers, you know, I had great teachers. I, like you say, you've been fortunate. Dude, I've been blessed. If it wasn't for my third grade teacher, I probably still would be speaking Spanish because I was so behind from kinder to second grade. I was in an English school, not speaking a lick of English. So if it wasn't for her taking the time to like tutor me between classes, not classes, but recess and lunch, dude, my whole life is different. And
right.
junior high, same thing. So that's why I'm always like, you know, they say to be, you have to be, it's better to be lucky than good. I feel like that because I've been lucky my whole life. Like some things, you know, could have bounced another way for me. But in the grand scheme of things, like I've been very fortunate, the hand that I was dealt and the people that have been around me and influenced me growing up. And you were a big part of that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. It's, working at a school like Mountain View, and I was at Azusa, prior to that, you know, I come from a two-parent household, mom, dad home every night. I can't even remember. Yeah, and I get it's a different era, but when I was growing up, we ate dinner together every night. My dad's in his 80s. My mom's in her late 70s. They're still married, and I went to APU. We didn't I didn't have the money to go to APU, but I went to APU. Um, and so to go and start teaching at Azusa and then come to Mountain View, I mean, I'd lie to say if it wasn't a culture shock, not as much going to Mountain View because I'd already gone through Azusa, but it opened my eyes. And I think going from Azusa to Mountain View, because then that's my fourth year there, and now I'm getting a little bit older. I mean, you realize the impact. You've got to make a decision because you have this group of kids. I mean, and it was great. I had Robinson drafted in the fourth round. I had Carranza and Pineda that went and played college baseball. But the vast majority of you, that was your career. Like you guys were at the twilight, the twilight of your career. You guys were going to play high school baseball, and that was going to be it. And it wasn't about going and playing professional baseball, and even though that's your guys' dreams. Um, how can I make an impact on these kids' lives for the next 40 and 50 years? And I probably said it to you guys. Look, you have 4 years here. You're going to make stupid decisions that will affect the next 70 years of your life. What kind of decisions do you want to make? How can I help you be a better person? Because it's not about you being the number four hitter and all Montview League. It's about you being a great dad. I remember. I can't say I remembered it until I opened up. We started messaging back and forth, but we had that message thread about you reading to your daughter.
Oh yeah.
You had posted something, and I said, look, this is proof right here of what you need to do. This is what we do with our kids every night. Da 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 da. It's about you being a good colleague, a good parent, a good coworker, a good human being. And that's really at the end of the day what our job's about. And I was able to kind of understand it, or I guess maybe get hit in the face with it at Azusa, and start to learn how to navigate it through Mountain View and really, really, really help you guys because like you said, you were blessed that you had a dad that was around as much as he could be. Couldn't be at the games, but was always there. Um, but I remember one time, and this is before you guys, we would start doing the throwing program in the fall. And I'm like, and I'm trying to explain, look, throwing the ball is like fishing, man. It's right here. You're casting out. Raise your hand if your dad ever took you fishing. And I'm staring at 2 rows of kids that don't have their hands up. And I'm like, you've never gone fishing before? Well, coach, yeah, I've been fishing, but I don't know who my dad is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and then you find out it's like, it's not just him, it's those 4, and then those 4 haven't seen their dad forever, and those 4, and it's like, how are you going to navigate life? How are you, I've got you for 4, and so it became, and I think like, people now go, I tell people now all the time, it's not about winning, man, it's about the process, and they look at me like I'm crazy. Tahquitz, I want to say this is our 13th year playing, and we've won like 7 or 8 league championships. We've won the CIF Championship.
Congrats.
Thank you. I have had come through. We've had through Tahquitz High School. We've had probably close to 20 guys go straight to 4-year college baseball. I think we've had 8 kids. I think it's like 7 or 8 that have gone D1. We have a D1 commit to Fullerton that's going to be a senior this year. Our shortstop from the 2017 championship team was the starting third baseman at Colorado Mesa, who was in the Division II College World Series last year. And they hear me go, it's not about winning. And they're like, yeah, right, man. It's not about winning. It's not. It's about the process. And it's about helping the kid where they're at become a better person. And once you understood, like, this guy cares about me more than just whether I caught that ball in the outfield, then you're willing to listen to other things, because now I care about you. If I just only talked to you about baseball, or I only talked to you or yelled at you when you dropped a fly ball, or only yelled at you or talked to you when you screwed up, then your thought process is, this guy only wants to win games. And do I want to win? Yeah, you know me. You were around me. I mean, I'm way more competitive than a lot of guys, but I've always believed this. If I take care of my players and I do things the right way, and my goal is to make you a better human being, and that, then making you a better baseball player is simple. I can do that. I can make you. I can take anybody, make them a better baseball player. You have to let me. You have to know that I care about you to ever get to that point. And people think that I jump in and I'm hands on and I'm this and I'm that and I'm that. The kid we had in 2017 that's at Mesa, I tell all the time, I'm like, man, I didn't talk to him about hitting till he was a junior. They're like, what do you mean? He wanted to do things his own way. And until he was ready to listen, I couldn't help him. And it was in December of 2016. And he's like, finally, it's like, what do I do? And I said, are you ready to listen? Yes. And we were able to do it. But it's the work at getting you guys to understand, like, I want you to be better human beings. And once you understand that and believe that, you might not agree with it, but once you understand, man, this guy cares about me, then the rest is easy and the wins take care of itself. You guys put in the work at practice. I develop a relationship with you. I develop a relationship with the team. You guys develop relationships with each other. There's nobody that can beat us. There's nobody that can beat us. And the scoreboard at the end of the day will take care of itself. And I learned that at Mountain View, that I mean, you guys needed more. People have always asked me about the weight, and I told them, I've said this from the word go. Like, I said, I was never a big weight room guy until I got to Tahquitz. Well, what changed? I said, when I was at Mountain View and in Azusa, Those kids didn't need a weight room. Those kids needed to learn that I cared about them. They needed to learn that somebody was going to be there for them day in and day out, no matter what. They needed to learn how to play the game of baseball. That's what they needed. They didn't need to get bigger and just think that I didn't care about them. And that was the huge thing is, it pained me when I left Azusa. It pained me when I left Mountain View. It pained me because you tell kids. I remember sitting. I remember sitting in the room and meeting with that group of kids and telling them that I was leaving. And I remember Steve Kennedy started sobbing. He's gonna kill me when I say this, but he started when he hears this and he hears this, he's gonna kill me. But he started sobbing, and he'll admit to it.
Yeah, I'll say he'll know.
Yeah, because we had a conversation, and I was always dealing with his grades and trying to get him to get eligible and trying to get him to do the right thing. And I remember saying this to him. I swear to you, if you're ineligible again, I'm leaving next year. Dude's ineligible for the end of that season. He's leaving because, and I already knew it. I knew what I was going to have to deal with because nobody knew that I was leaving. And it was a secret that I had to keep for a long time. And I had to manage it at the school site level so the players didn't find out about it. But I remember keeping him after. I let everybody go, and I'm like, Steve, I need you to stay. And I'm like, and I told him, it's not you. I need you to understand it. I said, if it wasn't for moving my family, I would not be leaving this school. And so it pained me to leave you guys because, a lot of the kids in your situation have got people in and out. Oh, I'll be there, and then they're gone. Oh, I'll be there, and then they're gone. And when I got to every school I was at, when I was at Mountain View, I am where my feet are. And I had the mentality that this will be the last job I'll ever take. And I treated it that way because when I left Mountain View, I wanted to leave it better than I found it, and I wanted to impact the guys' lives. And that's really, at the end of the day, my goal with a lot of my players. And I know in the moment, a lot of them probably don't believe that because they think I'm bat crazy sometimes, like you guys did, and I can have my moments where I just snap and go off. But it's about life. It's not about a game. I'm sure you've seen it because you're such a baseball fan. But there was the Augie Garrido rant they've shown in the clubhouse of Texas, and he goes in and just melts down on these players. It's like 2 minutes of just pure, how do you not have a stroke right now meltdown. Yeah. And he said it. This isn't about an effing game. This is about life. Don't you get it? And it is. It's about life because you have to be responsible to people. You were responsible. You said it multiple times tonight. You're responsible for those group of guys. And it's a game. If you lost that game, you guys didn't win a league championship, blah, 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 blah. It is what it is, but when you get older, it's about so many more things, and I made a couple jokes about Fabian tonight, but, I remember pulling into the parking lot and I can't remember if school started or it was those days the teachers had come back or whatever, but you guys were all out there playing baseball like it's a freaking Sandlot movie, and I get out and I start walking over, and all of a sudden he walks up, and we made amends, and he went on to be the league MVP, co-MVP with the kid from South El Monte that year, and that's what it's about, and it truly is. It's not about the mistake. It's about what you do after the mistake. And coaches throw that around so easy. It's not about the mistake. It's what happens after the mistake. But the problem is this. You guys are kids. You guys are kids. And am I going to correct Fabian's behavior, if I make him run, I think it was the 100 poles or
I
whatever it
believe it
was,
was. Yeah.
and kick him off the team and be done with him forever, I'm not going to correct his behavior. I mean, and yeah, I don't want to turn this into a political thing, but you look at that, you look at our jail system, and are there a lot of people that just need to be in jail forever? There are. But are there a lot of people that are in jail that you could correct their behavior and put them on a path in life that are just sitting in jail doing nothing? There are those people, and if I had just been done and wiped my hands with Fabian, how am I helping the kid? How am I helping the kid? I'm not helping the kid learn anything from it. All I'm doing is giving him a punitive discipline and telling him to get out of my face, and I'm done with you. And so it's not about the mistake, it's about what you do after the mistake, but that's on us because, and like you learn with a child, they're going to make mistakes. You have to let them figure out how not to make the mistakes. You have to give them the opportunity to correct their behavior, and the two things Fabian did that meant the world to me is meeting me halfway, and I physically mean meeting me halfway, because when I left the car, he had enough balls at his age to start walking towards me. I was not walking towards to talk to him. I was walking to you guys, and I'm sure he's well aware of that. But he wanted to meet me and he wanted to talk to me, and I was willing to have that conversation with him, and him coming up and having that conversation with me and not being scared to have it, because you know how it is in front of a peer group, and he did it in front of he could have waited till school started, knocked on my door at lunch, Coach, can I talk to you? He walked in front of all of you guys. He walked up in front of every single one of you and wanted to have that conversation right then and there. And that has always impressed me about him, and it meant the world to me. And talking about social media, when we were talking about how it keeps connected, I forgot that. I think it was like 2-3 years ago, I started giving out the lineup cards again, the player of the game lineup cards, and it was because of Fabian. Fabian posted it on Facebook one day. I forgot I even did that. And I started giving them out again, and oh my gosh, does it not mean the world to these kids? I had one parent that's like, Coach, he's got every one of those. He's got every single one of those that you gave him on the wall. And I might not have been doing that right now. I might not have ever remembered that if it hadn't been for him posting that on there. But it truly is about how can I help you guys get better as human beings? Because, I mean, in all my years coaching, 20 years, I've coached 2 kids that have stepped foot on a professional ball player, and that was Mark Robinson and a kid named Ryan Miller out of Tahquitz. So how many hundreds of kids have I come in contact with? And you're talking about 2 kids, and I think the kid that's at Colorado Mesa will be my 3rd. But it's about the relationships that you and I build and that I build with you guys, and about you wanting a better life for yourself. And that life doesn't have to look like everybody else's life, but how can I show up for work every day and be responsible for the guy sitting next to me? And how can I do right by my family?
It's beautiful. I just let you go because that was beautiful. There's I see it on social media, right? Like when coaches yell at players, when coaches do this thing like where they're not playing everybody, where they're not. How do you go about that? I'm not sure. You said you're blessed by great parents, but there's not just 9 players on the team. There's the 13, the 14, and I feel like me being who I was, aware that I wasn't. I did my best to earn it in practice. the drills, those outfield drills that are not annoying, but just kind of repetitive. At the time, you're just like, dude, I know how to crow up. I know how to crow up. I know how to crow up. And you're like, why are we doing this again? And, as you get older, you hear the elite quotes, you hear, the 10,000 hour expert, after 10,000 hours, you hear all
Yeah.
that and it makes sense.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you're like, dude, I want to do the fun drills, when we come out here and we throw the football around or we're tossing it like a receiver, over the shoulder, all those fun drills instead of just the tedious stuff. You never yelled at us. You kind of like yelled, but not at us. Like you weren't disciplining anybody by like yelling directly at them. And so I see these things, obviously on the far end, you have the coach Knight, Bobby Knight, throwing on the basketball
The
court, throwing the
chair.
chair. Yeah. But like, I'm like, you got to let these coaches have some, it's a difference between personal life and then you never yelled at me or anything like that. There was one time you got mad. I think somebody did something or like was throwing rocks or something. Aguilar, stop that. And I was like, I was more shocked than like, well, what happened? And then you're like, they kept doing it. I don't remember who it was, but they kept throwing like rocks while we were like in our little huddle. And you're like, Aguilar, I already told you next time you're running. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I think maybe you thought I took offense because my face was like a shocked face. Like, what the? Cause I wasn't even doing anything. So after you came, you're like, Aguilar, I'm not mad at you. Just, you got it. I was like, yo, dude, not dude, but I was like, coach, that wasn't me. Who was it? I was like, I didn't see. I had my head down. You're like, well, just don't do it. I was like, I won't. And so I never took offense, like, oh, this guy's yelling at me, even though that was like the sternest you ever got with me. But I mean, how do you deal with like, especially in the day of social medias, where like I'm sure the parents are recording their kids, but if you were to have, let's say, a meltdown or a blow up, this thing's going, they don't know what's going on the field. Sometimes you need that kick in the ass. I've done it on the Sunday league teams I was on. We were losing to this team. Great story. Don't want to get into it too long, but a Sunday league team in the semis for to get into the championship. These guys are out. They already won the game. We're only going 7 innings or whatever, but it's like the 6th inning. They're up 4, like going to the top of the 7th. They still get the last ups, and they're already celebrating. You kind of like what you said South was doing. They already have the champagne under the seats. They got their apple cider, red cider. So I just brought the HUD up together. I'm like, these motherfuckers are out here celebrating. What have they won? Like, we still got ups. We're gonna. They think they won. Just kind of like a motivational type
Right.
thing. We were adults, right? We're in our early 20s. We went out there. Philip, Alex, Andrew, these guys were all part of the team on that team. We ended up scoring 6 runs that inning. We won. If, let's say, I was a coach and that was a high school team, it'd be like, look at this way this guy talks to his players, yada, yada. And I'm like, that's why you got to have people that never played sports are the ones that make a big deal about it. But I'm just like, I hate when I see stuff like that because I'm like, dude, yes, they're kids, but you need to let them know that, like, a little motivation, like, to me, it's fine. Like, if somebody, obviously, you're yelling at 3 or 4-year-olds, like, they don't even know how to kick a soccer ball. They can't even hit the ball of the
Right.
tee. There's a difference. But these are young men and women that this is real world. Some of your bosses are going to yell at you. You should be aware, like at a job, like, okay, I'm gone. I don't need this job. But if you need to be, if that's what's going to take, we never saw you yell. So with the times where I saw you like get a little loud, I was like, oh shit, he's serious, because if you're just walking around yelling all day, then obviously you would be like, just another Monday for us. But I feel like when it only happens once a year, you're like, we fucked up. We fucked up. You get me? So how do you deal
Yeah.
with that?
No.
Like,
Here's the thing. I chuckle a lot because I hear things or I see things on social media like, "Oh, you can't do that. You get fired nowadays," and it's about a few things. And one, it's about being real with the kids. And what I mean by that is this: if they know that you care about them and they know that you desire to have a relationship with them that's more than just baseball, and you know that you're there for them, and you know that um, they know that you will be there when things are bad, then they can deal with things a lot more than if it's just baseball. Um, I I I don't mix my words, and I am very, very blunt and straightforward with the players. I always have been. Um, I can be prone to some Bobby Knight-esque meltdowns from time to time, believe it or not. But the biggest thing is this, is my players know that first of all, here's the biggest thing. Like, I don't ever call out players, really. If I'm going to call out a player, I'm going to call them out and say, look, when you were coming around second base and your eyes were in the outfield and your body went wide of the bag and you got thrown out by 2 feet at third base, that hurt us. I'm not going to go into a rant and call them every name in the book and this, that, and and so my Bobby Knight-esque meltdowns are more as in a group setting. Like you said, I'm not yelling at you, I'm yelling at them, and I'm yelling at the players and team. And you don't individualize it and you don't personalize it. And I think that is what really gets coaches in trouble, is when you start really digging in to a kid and you specifically go after a kid and you are specifically demeaning a individual, you are asking for problems. I try to, if I'm going to deal with a kid, I try to deal with a kid one-on-one, because it's a one-on-one problem. If it's systematic of the group and it's a group thing, I have no problem getting after them. And then the one thing is this, I try to, the games, and you're a parent and you'll go through this, and Fabian and his baseball team and Ozzy and his other baseball team, they'll see what I'm talking about if they don't already. But when you sat in my wife's class, or other kids sat in my wife's class and took a test, you didn't have anybody sitting there barking in your ear. It's a test, go take it. The room's quiet. But for some reason, when you guys play baseball games, and kids especially now, their parents, they want to yell every last little instruction that they possibly can to their kid, and they don't want to sing, and they don't want to stay quiet. When it comes to games, I try to stay as quiet as possible. And if I need to say something, I'll say it as quiet as possible. And that's not to say that I don't rip teams during the games, but if I'm going to rip you, it's usually at practice, because we're doing it's not closed doors, and I'm not a quiet person, as you know, but it's closed doors. This is our house. And I'm not going to air family laundry in the middle of the game, and truth be told, last year I aired a kid out too far in a game, and it was on a Friday, and, I spent the whole weekend wanting to get back to school on Monday to apologize to that kid, because I felt I went too far. But how do I deal with it? I try to limit it at practice, and I try to limit it in a group setting, and I don't try to individualize an attack towards a kid. So, and I think that's the biggest thing.
That's saying, praise in public, scold in private. And I mean, because with us at least,
I don't know if I'm real. I don't know if I'm real good at that, but I try.
No.
I try to do both. I try to do both, I guess, in public and in private. I don't know. I try to balance it out.
With us, I mean, I remember like there were certain days, it's like we just beat our rival, like you're coming off that high, you had that Wednesday game, you think like Thursday's gonna be like cool, at that age we don't know better, right. So we're thinking like, oh cool, Thursday's a chill practice, because Thursdays was like shorts, it wasn't even baseball pants, it was just shorts because we had the game on Friday, so we're gonna be cool, we're gonna be relaxed. And then we're running polls, we're doing this drill, we're doing like, what the hell? So maybe mentally we weren't prepared, and so now physically we're like, dude, what the hell's going on? And so everybody's just kind of going through the motions, because we're like, dude, it's an emotional roller coaster yesterday, and your job is to prepare us for Friday, but we're over here enjoying still Thursday. And so that's when I remember you scolding us, like, as a team, like, you guys got to get your head out of your ass. Like, how bad do you guys want it? Like you guys, and you say maybe a little aggressive, maybe a little yelling, but that's what hit us. Like that's what gets us, because you're like, they just lost. You think they're taking it easy at practice, and you guys won, and you're taking it easy. Like you're gonna play them one more time. This is where you win that game, and that's when you're like, fuck, like you're right, but you're like us. We're like, fuck, man. Like we just won. We got a hard day of practice, and then we got another game tomorrow. So that's why I'm like, dude, it works. Obviously, like you said, culture. Our our culture was a winning culture. The fun came along for the ride. But like you said earlier, if the culture dies out or the winning doesn't happen, the culture dies, and then people could say, "Oh well, he's just yelling. He lost the players." Has a lot of coaches in the
Right.
that's because they're millionaires. They're not gonna get yelled at or whatever, but they lose the locker room. And I felt like, dude, because I read all these articles, right? And this is obviously written by somebody that's never played a sport. Their kid obviously sucks at the sport, and they want their kid to be the center fielder, batting third, fucking coming in to close. Like, no, dude, that's not. You're trying to win. Like, yeah, we want him to have fun, but he should be putting in that work, not just have his mom write a blog that gets published in a fucking article.
Right.
That's not how the real world works, and you're trying to appease them, and you're making more of a shitty kid because he thinks that, okay, I'm just going to complain till things go my way, as opposed to let me do the work. He's going to enjoy the work because he's going to say, okay, maybe I don't bat for it, but now I'm in the top half of the lineup. Okay, now I'm not a sub. Now I'm a starter. Like those are the little wins, and those little wins become big wins. And to me, that's why I want to get your perspective, because I'm like, dude, how? Uh-oh, did he leave? Are you there? Maybe he got a call. It's just me in here. So thank you for those listening. I'm sure he's going to jump back in, but maybe his phone died. Maybe something. This is the first time something like this happens, but it's a great time to plug. If you're a fan of this show, listen in on the Cool Kids Table Podcast.com, on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find us under the Cool Kids Table Podcast, and on Twitter, it's the Cool Kids Pod. If you like it, leave a review, thumbs up, fucking subscribe. All these things add up over time, and we're building an audience, and it's great to have people like CIF champion coach. And if you enjoy it, tell your friends. How do I get him in here? Is he in here? Yeah, he's back in here. I think he might have gotten a call again. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Cool. There we go.
Dude, I'm sorry. My freaking AirPods died and it shut the whole.
I know. Did it again. Maybe his phone disconnected. I think you guys heard that. His AirPod died, and he got disconnected. But he should be back in a second. Maybe his phone's dying. We've been at it for maybe an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. Great coach, great person, great father. He was a big part of my adolescence. I'm sure he'll listen back to this. And so, sounds weird saying Ron, but Coach Savage, thank you for everything you did for our squad, for me personally. That recommendation letter, you didn't have to do any of that, and you still went out and did it for me. We've had some great conversations through, Facebook Messenger and all that. It's crazy, CIF Championship coach, he's back in. Cool, let me see. Let me see here, unmute. Can you hear me? All right, I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Okay, cool. So it was just like a minute. Don't worry about it. It happens.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
I got you video and audio.
Okay. So my AirPods died and it shut the whole thing off.
All right. Don't worry about it. It was I was saying that, yeah, like it's crazy. So I just wanted your perspective on that, as far as some, you see them and pop up and then they get shared. Sometimes it'll be like a little, it's not even that bad of a rant. Just like, what are you guys doing out here? You guys, you want to play fucking soccer, go play soccer, but we're out here playing football. You guys got to come in with heart. And then, oh my God, I can't believe he's yelling at his players. I'm like, dude, it's not even that bad. Like, I
Right.
I was in junior high. Was probably the worst coach I ever had for soccer, and he would yell at us, like he would berate us, and not one of the reasons I was already like in the, I don't know, I'm really not digging the soccer thing. When all that happened, I was like, why am I out here? Like why am I putting myself through this? But even then, like it wasn't. I still played the next year, so it wasn't because of the coach. But believe it or not, I started playing baseball in 8th grade. I was actually telling my friends, like, really? Like, you were pretty good. I was like, we can never afford it. Like, I never played Little League. And so I used to play with my dad, played on the Sunday League team.
Right.
So I would, like, with Izzy and remember Eduardo Reyes, my
Yep.
tick, like, we would just play catch with the adults, play in the outfield with them. That's why I mean,
You can always catch a fly ball.
yeah, they just throw me in the outfit and I had to throw it in. These guys are throwing it in. There's no cutoff. So we all had cannons for arms. Tick the best out of everybody. Izzy a pitcher and me just that long toss because it was just something we did. But just to see it like nowadays, it trips me out when those videos,
Yeah, it's and you had kind of said something like you have you only have 9 players that can play, and how do you do it? And
Oh yeah.
we're very upfront. Like I'm very upfront now. We can run programs year round, and I'll give you an example leading into this year. We graduated 6 starters. So we have 3 kids coming back. Our kid that's going to be our number 1 going to Fullerton. We have our left fielder. We have our first base, third base kid that plays both corners and all 3 of them pitch as well. And then we have a slew of sophomores and juniors that are going to be coming in from JV. And we will play a 17-game schedule in the fall. And if I have, 2 kids that want to play shortstop that I believe that can play shortstop on the varsity level, they're going to play shortstop and they're going to get equal innings and they're going to get equal at bats as much as possible. And we're going to let that be the decision maker because, and that, truthfully speaking, that's one of the reasons why we got into Blast as well. You're going to tell me that, Coach, why am I not playing? Well, okay, let's look at my starters. Here's my 9 guys, and here is their average their barrel speed. Here's their average barrel speed. And here's your barrel speed. And is that the end all be all? No, but it's not subjective either, and playing time is not subjective when in the fall we're evening it out and we're evening it out as far as we can. And the more, and I tell coaches this all the time, and I have travel ball guys that will talk to me and they'll be like, Johnny's mom thinks he should pitch. The kid sucks. What should I tell her? Let him pitch. The guy's like, what do you mean let him pitch? When Johnny gives up 8 runs in an inning, his mom's going to beg you never to let him pitch again. Give them what they want. And a kid says that, a kid wants to pitch. As long as I believe, and it might, if there's some kids that I'll just say, look, we have no room on our pitching staff for another pitcher. You're not going to get any varsity innings. But if I have a kid that I think can be serviceable in the fall, I'll give an opportunity and we'll let the opponents decide. Because we have a mix of games that we play. We play either teams that we feel are comparable to us, or we play teams that are better than us. And so they're going to pitch against both. And, we find out a lot about kids by putting them out there and them knowing like they're playing for their job. And it doesn't mean that kid doesn't have a job at the end of December. The kid might be moved to a position, But if he wants to be the starting shortstop and he can't get it done on the field, I've told every single parent in August, look, this is how we make decisions at the varsity level. I've heard, people ask me, well, do you do tryouts? Not for my varsity kids. I don't.
Do you do what?
People ask if I do tryouts.
Oh,
and
tryouts,
I'm like,
tryouts.
For my varsity kids in 2020, and I've been doing this since basically 2016, no, I don't. Like, when you're in the program after your freshman year, we have a conversation. You're either on the fall roster or you're not on the fall roster, and that moment comes from with some interesting situations. I had a kid that was actually a bullpen guy for us the last 2 years, and he was actually doing very well this year. And his sophomore year, he was very bent out of shape that he wasn't included on the fall roster. He felt that he should have been included on the fall roster, and he made no bones about it. And so we had a 3-way scrimmage where we basically played a doubleheader against 2 schools. And one of our kids wasn't going to be able to be there that day. And so I went to my pitching coach and I said, what do you think about this kid throwing for us? And he looked at me, because the whole coaching staff was in agreement the kid didn't belong at that level at that time. And I go, look, man, here's the deal. I know he doesn't belong. You know that he doesn't belong. But the kid thinks he belongs. Let's give him 1 inning to either prove us wrong or right. He gave up 4 runs in 1 inning. The ball never left the infield, except when he threw it over the first baseman's head. And I never heard a peep from him the rest of the year. And it's because the point's proven. And it's not meant to be vindictive. It's meant to get them sometimes to a point, like you said, of self-awareness. Because if I tell you you can't play and you believe you can play, then you're always going to have an argument, and the parent is always going to have an argument. You don't give my kid a chance. How do you know? Well, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know your kid's not ready for this level, but they don't know. But here's the thing, and here's the beauty of it. And I literally just heard this today from another coach. Here's the thing. The ball doesn't know if you're 15, 16, 17, or 18. When that ball hits the strike zone on the outside corner, he doesn't know what age you are, and he doesn't take it easy on you because you're 15. And with the explosion of travel ball, everything is 8U, 9U, 10U, 11U, 12U, 13U, 14U, 15U, 16U, 17U, 18U. Well, these kids get to high school and they've dominated their whole life, but the piece of the puzzle that's always been left out is it's against your age bracket. Now, all of a sudden, you want to be a 15U kid and play at the 19U level, and then you want to complain that you're not getting an opportunity. Well, the best way to do that, okay, I'll give you an opportunity. We'll see if you can play. And honestly, giving the kids the opportunity and the experience to play, and people think I'm crazy, but I always go back to like you guys and playing you guys at JV in the fall because I had to. I didn't have a choice. I was either going to play you guys as JV kids that weren't ready to play, or we weren't going to have a fall program. We didn't have enough pieces laying around, the ship to freaking to play fall ball. And I did it then out of survival to run a winter program. But I saw value to it, because when you guys did come of age, you were at a different level than the other kids, because we, like I said, you look at it, it's not like the talent pool was, you go to Arroyo, you go to South, you go to El Monte, you go to Rosemead, it's all the same pool. We were all swimming in the exact same pool. Well, why were you guys at a different level? Because you guys did different things year round. And you might have been sacrificial lambs, you know, before your sophomore year or before your junior year. But when you got that seat at the table, you didn't have a problem with it. You know, now I use it in this little bit of the same manner of self-awareness, but we use it to decide like who truly belongs at this level. Because, you know, we went and played, you know, this last fall, we went and played, this isn't a single day in a tournament. We played Vista Murrieta in the morning and we played Foothill at night. And between the three schools, there was probably 19 four-year college commits. We only had one of those 19, you know, and so you learn a lot when you're playing teams that are a different talent level above you, because what are you going to be able to do? You know, even back when you guys were playing, you know, I remember this, and I'm honestly admitting to violating the CIF policy right now, even though I don't think it'll happen like 20 years ago. A group of coaches, we got together and we created a fall league. You know, you guys didn't necessarily know that's what we did, but we created a fall schedule behind closed doors, and you know, you look at the talent pool, and we were playing the Nogaleses, the Monrovias, the San Dimases. You know, we were playing teams. You know, I took you guys and let you guys play against freaking teams that were going to come into our league easily and win.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you were part of this group, but
I was.
We played. Well, I'm talking about, did you play the San Gabriel Valley Arsenal team? Were you part of that group?
No.
Okay, so we play an Arsenal team. And Vieira, Mike Vieira, who ran the Arsenal, tells me, look, I'm going to bring my 16U team. And he goes, before you say anything, this freaking isn't your average 16U team. These kids are going to be pretty good. He rolls out this kid that's just black kid, rolls out on the mound at Mountain View, and he's just absolutely throwing BBs. Just shed. It's friggin' Aaron Hicks. Is who the kid was.
Yeah,
Aaron
he's
Hicks.
on the Yankees, right?
Yeah, you know, and so it's like I never went and just, you know, said, okay, we're going to do this. Let's go get the crappy teams and we're going to play against them so you guys feel good about yourself. And, you know, I remember one of the biggest compliments you guys received was we were playing a team, and it was Nogales. It was John Romano, and John Romano has done everything there is to do under the sun in high school baseball and coached a lot of big names. And he said, you know, one thing about you guys is this: you have a team at the beginning of the year, and the team you are by the end of this spring season and throughout the season is completely different. You guys bust your ass. You play the game the right way. And at the end of the season, it's a pleasure to watch you play, because I see where you guys are at the beginning of the year, and it's a different spot where you're at the end of the year, you know, and I don't know. I don't think you guys get to those levels if we don't, you know, if you're not tested and I go soft on you, or parents go soft on you, or like you said, Johnny shouldn't be on JV. Johnny shouldn't be on the bench. Johnny shouldn't be hitting ninth. I want my kid to be a 4-year starting varsity player and hit fourth. And then I'm going to argue it. You don't get the same product. You know, it's a refinement by fire. And that's the only way that you're going to grow is, you know, my daughter is in 7th grade. And one of the things that I've kind of put a demand on her to do is kind of do a kettlebell workout. And during this thing, and she started doing it, and the next day she couldn't walk. And it's a 15-pound kettlebell, but it's not like, you know, she's in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And the next day she can't walk. And I said, she's complaining because she's sore. I go, you're sore because you're growing. She goes, what do you mean? I go, that soreness is the lactic acid from your muscles tearing. In order for your muscles to grow, they have to tear. They have to grow. And that's what's causing the growth. The pain that you're experiencing is causing that growth. And, you know, I try to explain that to kids. It's okay to fail. We're going to get our goal in the fall. We're going to get you thrown out. We're going to make you steal. We're going to put you in uncomfortable positions. We're going to, and when I mean uncomfortable position, I don't mean, you know, the big loaf of first base and playing center field. I mean, you know, you're going to see dudes, you know, you're going to see dudes on the mound that you won't see all year. We're going to make you feel as uncomfortable as possible in the fall so that when you start playing in the spring, the game slows down for you and you're able to succeed.
And if I can vouch for that, a little quick story. I did the fall ball program sophomore, junior year, and then, well, obviously senior year. But the Saturday, my junior and senior year, I was in that. Remember, I had to miss a lot of the games because I had that Saturday Catholic confirmation class.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And so I had to, it was, I believe, 4, I might be wrong, but I remember it being like every Saturday. So I had 2 classes every month. And so come junior year, my friends think I'm ready for varsity. I think I'm ready for varsity. You know, I almost got too confident. I just played the game. I thought I was a shoo-in for varsity. And comes season time, I'm on JV. And I was mad at you. I was mad at myself. I was mad at my parents. You know, like, dude, if I would have just gone to those extra games, I would have gotten a little bit better. And, you know, you cope with it. I thought about quitting. I didn't. I'm on JV. I'm like, let's make this the best I can. We're killing it. You know, I had a lot of us, you know, that's how good we were. I'm sure they don't mind, but I believe Ozzy, Yazad, Ernie, we were all on JV as juniors, you know, and it sucked.
I believe,
It sucked, but at the same time, we were dominating. But at the, you know, we were happy because we won like 14-1. We won JV.
Right.
But we're like, dude, this is nothing. Like, we're this much better than everybody else. Like you said, like, but looking back now, I remember that made me appreciate my senior year more. You know, I don't know if your coaches, your assistants, or your past players or your future players will listen to this, but take what you can out of it, you know, because that's where I wouldn't say good, you know, I don't want to say good, but that's where I became such a better teammate, such a better player, not as in on the field, but just like taking advice, doing things. Cause I was like, dude, I'm only here for 1 year. Like, let's make it a memorable one. Even though I was already confident in my skill level and I knew I was a good teammate, you know, I was always looking out for everybody type of thing, help with the helmets, even though the catcher, he just did 7 innings in fucking 98-degree weather. You know, let me take the catcher's gear, even though that's his job. That was who I was. Cause I knew, like, dude, this could be taken away from me. Cause I thought I was good enough. You know, my teammates thought I was good enough, but at the end of the day, you know, I was never mad. Like, I was mad, but not like upset. Like, oh my God, I hate him. But cause sophomore year, we did like a few, what's called inter squad practices with Mark Robinson. And since I was a sophomore on JV and he was the only center fielder, it was me and him in the outfield. And me and him were throwing guys out from center field. And he was, dude, I was like 5'4". He was like 6 foot. He's like, you got an arm, man. Like, next year, you know, this is yours. I'm out. Like, this is all yours. You guys don't have another center fielder. I'm like, no. He's like, dude, this, you know, make sure, you know. So all those things that he did, I don't know if you remember, like the fly ball, it's clearly just him in center field. He just go ball. That's where I got it from. I did all those things because I try to emulate him. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if anybody listening ever feels like this is what I deserve, like, no. Because sometimes you'll put in the work. You'll put in the after hours. You'll do everything right. But that's life. It doesn't always go your way. And at the time, I didn't understand it. And I don't want to, like, live in the past or anything like that. But that really made me appreciate my senior year of varsity so much more, because people where I had been on the team 2-3 years, so they were kind of already like, this is what I do. And so to me, I was taking it all in. Like, every practice was, you know, my first varsity practice. Every drill was like that. We never did that in JV. With, you know, certain things, certain scenarios where the signs were so not complicated, but just so much where, like, if we knew the sign, we knew the sign, right? But somebody as an outsider, I remember the girls be like, you guys understand all that? Like, yeah, it's very simple, but it just made you appreciate the little things more. And like I said, in case anybody ever feels like, damn, I should have been a 3-year starter or a 2-year starter. Like, I thought I should have been a 2 or 3 year starter. True story. Parcells, we had tryouts freshman year. That's why I kind of knew him. He would love Ernie. Like he said, "You're my future shortstop. Like you are fucking good." And he was like, "Dude, you're pretty good. Like you're quick on your feet." Like I was always an outfielder. Early on, like in 8th grade, I did second base and all that. But my position was outfield because that's what I always knew. And so he goes, "Dude, like there's this kid, Mark Robinson. Like you'll be under him. Like he's gonna teach you a lot." So I always felt like, okay, I just gotta, go through the what's it called? Like just go through the motions and I'll be fine.
Right.
So come freshman year, when it's baseball season, I'm on the bench. When I start playing, I'm in right field batting ninth. So to me, it was always like I gotta earn it. Maybe it was my size, but I always just earned it. By the end of the year, I'm playing center, batting second. So for those, if anybody needs those words, just because you think you deserve it, that's not how life works. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did, because maybe I would have been a little arrogant come senior year, like, oh yeah, I've done this before. I was a starter last year. I was center fielder. So senior year, it made me that much more appreciative of the moment, because I was in the moment. Like I said, I was enjoying it. Like in this conversation, I'm aware, like, damn, I can't believe we're having this conversation. That's how I was when I was in center field and we're playing a Royal. And I remember one game, there's 21 outs, and I caught 9 fly balls. I was like, dude, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, Fabian's just throwing it right there where they can't catch up and they're just getting under it. So I kept pulling in. I believe it was Coach Mo. You and Coach Mo kept giving me the sign. I'm doing and I'd be like, Coach, I'm good right here. I'm good right here. And then I do the choke, like, I'm good right here. I came in the dugout and I was like, Coach, you know how many fly balls I've caught? You're like, how many? I'm like, we're on 5 and we're only in the 5th inning. You're like, no way. Check the scorebook. You check the scorebook and you're like, you've been doing some scouting? And I was like, I learned from you. And that's the kind of thing, I just knew where to be, because even in the moment, I knew, like, dude, I'm getting a lot of fly balls. And as an outfielder, you're aware of that type of thing.
Yeah.
So the point of that rant is, if anybody listening, if you feel like you got the short end of the stick, work harder, because things don't always go your way. You can do everything right and it still sucks to say, but you're still not good enough. I'm telling you from experience.
That's funny.
Anything you want to touch? How did it go down? CIF Championship winning. What was that like? It was a long time coming.
Man, that was man. It's funny. So here's the quickest version I can give you that I'll start with. We'll see where it goes. So we get to the game, and the game before us, I don't know. I know it was Arrowhead Christian. I know Arrowhead Christian was playing in the game, and the reason why I was very well aware of that was, they're local. They're in, I want to say it's Redlands or something like that. Freaking their head coach, I think the wife died of a heart attack like the night before the CIF final game or something. It's something like that. She died. The wife of the head coach, and the son played. And so they were, I mean, whoever they were playing against, they were just trouncing. I mean, it was bad. Like, and I remember standing there at UCR at the first base side, and I'm like, I just don't want to lose like that. I don't want to get here and lose like that. When we beat Nogales, it was the 4th time that I had been to the semifinals. The 3rd time being the year before. And so I just was like, I don't want to lose like that. If I lose, at least make it a 1-run game. Well, you find out quickly how funny that God has a good sense of humor, because we're in the 7th inning and it is bases loaded. It is 2 outs, and we are bringing we're bringing a relief pitcher in. We had to pull our starting pitcher because of pitch count. And we have to bring in a sophomore who was committed to Fullerton at the time. We have to bring him in with bases loaded, 2 outs. Ball 1, ball 2. It's now 2-0. At 2-0, I now realized that losing by 1 run was going to be far worse than losing by 10 runs. So he then goes 2-1. The count goes 3-1. He throws a strike. He throws a pitch that was about eye level that the kid swings at, and he gets a strikeout.
Wow.
Now, the real precise story of that is the first pitch the kid jumped out of the way of, like legitimately flat out jumped out of the way of the ball. Had he not moved, we would have lost in the 7th inning. He then goes 2-0, 2-1, throws a slider. Kid moves again. I don't know if the pitch would have hit him, but it had come real close. And then he swings at a pitch at his eyes. So we go to the top of the 8th. Now, that's the year they instituted the pitch count. And the rule is 110 pitches finish the batter. So when you hit 110 and you finish that batter, you have to leave the game as a pitcher. You can go to shortstop or wherever, but you can't pitch anymore. So we are our number 2 hitters up, kid named Norman Power. He was our left fielder. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4. Ball 4 is 110 pitches for this kid. The kid's name was Pearson Ole. It was his 110th pitch. And nobody's moving in the dugout. Nobody's warming up. Our catcher, who's our number 3 hitter, comes up. Kyle Weatherby, he's a senior. We go sack bunt 111. I call time. I walk up to the umpire. I said, I need to know what this kid's pitch count is. He turns around. He looks at the dugout, which is the home dugout, which was responsible, as was CIF that was up top. And he yells to the coach. He yells to the kid with a clicker, what's your pitch count?
What?
Yay to God. I was expecting the kid to say something like 107, 110, 108, even though I know I'm right. The one number I was not expecting to hear was 111.
Whoa.
The kid looks at his clicker and goes, 111. I palm butt the umpire and go, oh my gosh, that's an illegal pitch. He goes, no, it's 110, finish the batter. I go, ball 4 was 110. That sack bunt was at 111. So long story short, a big discussion takes place. A big, not kerfuffle as in any kind of fight or anything like that, but a big discussion, a big kerfuffle goes on for probably 20 minutes. Our number 4 hole hitter, who's the kid at Mesa, comes up. They bring in another kid. He hits a ground ball through the 5-6 hole, and we score the winning run, or the go-ahead run. And then we go into the bottom of the 8th. Our kid comes back after the nerve-wracking experience of the 7th, gets 3 outs, and, we end up winning the CIF Championship. The coolest thing about it was this. School had already ended. I don't know how many people UCR holds, but the place was packed with our fans. And again, social media, right?
Yeah.
Later, so I'll say it this way. So the place was packed with our fans. As a coach and as a player, you don't hear a lot of things going on in the game. Like in the moment, you don't hear things. As I'm bringing the kid around third base to score the winning run, I can hear like our entire fan base erupting and screaming and yelling. And it's honestly like I'm bringing this kid around third base, and I can feel the goosebumps coming up on my arms as I'm doing it, because I can hear just the roar of the fans, and after, so this is where I was going with the social media, is afterwards, I saw so many angles of the play. I saw so many angles of the game. I saw so many different pictures of different fans that were there that I didn't know that were there, and it's funny because, my wife, she's like, she just kept talking about the fact that she couldn't sit down, and she's walking all over the place. And, and her stomach hurts, and my daughter's voice ran out, and it's just, it was great winning the CIF championship, but it's again, it goes back to relationships. My wife, we met at Mountain View, and she's been with me through the whole thing, and she's been there in the seasons where we came up short, and she was there for the whole ride. And the joke is that she can't come to semifinal games anymore because she wasn't in the Gallus game and we won. But it's weird because she's probably in the stands experiencing the same pains that I'm going through, but it's probably worse because she can't deal with them. She can't do anything about it. But it was a surreal ride. The whole season was a surreal ride. I mean, I think the playoff game, the best team we faced, and I've said this time and time again, was in the second round, and it was Segerstrom from Santa Ana. But it was 1-run games, 2-run games, 1-run games. And we start the CIF final off with a double and get picked off.
At second base.
Get picked off at second base. And I blame myself. But then again, here's the thing. And this is what allowed me. I went back to the dugout and spent time in between innings reflecting on it to get over it. But it's an environment that I'm not used to. I felt further away from second base than I'd ever been before in my life. The ballpark's bigger. There's more fans at that game than any high school game I'd ever coached in. And it's the first inning, and they're freaking loud. Kid can't hear me. And so, it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like, it's not about what you do after it's not about the mistake. It's what you do after the mistake. And I still had, I don't know how many more freaking innings to coach and outs to coach, but it was just a surreal environment and just a tight game. And, we're up 1-0 until, I don't know, fill in the blank inning, and ground ball that goes through the wickets of our first baseman. The kid gets to second base, and then the kid hits a bleeder out to center field, and the kid comes running in to dive for it and comes up an inch short. Tie game, and then it's goes the seventh, bases loaded, full count with the pitch count. It's just I said it afterwards, and I wish that I had a 10-run lead and I was able to soak in the moment of the last inning a little bit and look around and be a part of it. I do. But in the same token, I think anybody that knows me and is anybody that's been around me with my personality and my emotions and my love of the kids and love for the game and just the way I am, I think it was a perfect scenario. I mean, of course it's me with the pitch count rule happens to. Of course it's me that has to go extra innings. Of course it's me that it's that tight the whole time. And it was a great experience that I hope I am. If I don't ever win another CIF title, I've been blessed to win one. And it's you realize, you don't think about it, but you realize how small company it's in. But God willing that I will be able to go back to the mountaintop again. But if I don't, I mean, it was a great experience that I was completely blessed to have.
Not knowing your players now or your future players, with your coaching abilities, the way like we talked about, you bring out the best in every player, from your best player to, your fourth sub. You have everybody buy in. It's not a 3-month process. And I think that's what makes you so great, is that you understand, like, this is going to be from the beginning of the year. By December, some of these kids are going to be buying in. And then that's contagious. You start seeing people hustling. So there's no doubt in my mind you'll win more.
You know, that group, the funny thing is that 2017 group was a lot like you guys. They, you know, I have a picture somewhere still, and it was they had played together since they were like 8 years old, type of thing. They had started playing pony ball together, and then they went into a travel ball team together, and it was a picture of them when they were like maybe 11, 12 years old, 4 of them together in their jerseys, and they retook the same picture their senior year, in their Tahquitz jerseys. And that was it was a group of kids that were very similar to you guys. They were very tight. They didn't want to let each other down. They weren't playing for me. They weren't playing for the school. They weren't playing for the community. And I don't mean that in any way, shape, or form disrespectful and selfish. What I mean is they were playing for themselves. They were playing for their best friend from when they were 8th grade, their best friend since they were in 3rd grade, that was the left of them and the right of them, and they weren't going to let each other down. You know, and I was aware, and the thing that impressed me was I was aware that there was some, you know, there was a little mild internal strife from time to time. But the amazing thing about that group is it never rose to the surface. It stayed underneath the surface, you know, and all they wanted to do was take care of each other and go win this thing for each other.
That's beautiful. Not to just curiosity, you know, you've obviously been a CIF winning coach. I always felt like maybe, you know, I was like that one pitcher you talked about, that he believed in himself so much. I believed in us so much. I thought we were a CIF winning team in 06. Like, would that be a fair thing to say? I know the second round ball didn't bounce our way. We lost 2-1. It's not like we got blown out. I always felt like that team put it up against anybody.
If I was that when we played Woodcrest, did we
Yeah.
play? Was that okay?
Yeah,
so the funny thing is,
Yasad and Leander, Angel.
Let me tell you the funny thing about Woodcrest. Woodcrest has been the bane of my existence my entire career, because I've lost to them at Tahquitz. They've knocked me out of the playoffs 3 years.
Wow.
So, in fact, 2 of the trips to the CIF semifinals involved losses to Woodcrest. But it's funny because we were just talking about that. So, you know, I'm good friends with the Monrovia coach, Blackmore, and he's been there forever. I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but that's the year that we would have gone straight to the semifinals.
Yeah,
if we won that game.
St.
St. Paul and Hesperia got in a brawl.
Yeah, I remember that.
And no, you know what? That I think that year, I think it would have been fair to say that, you know, and the thing is, it's about, you know, baseball. I think the stat is like 72% of the time the underdog or the favored team actually wins. It's the smallest percentage of all sports is 72% of the time the favorite team wins. NBA, NFL is in the 90s that the favorite team wins. That was the year that, had the ball bounced the right way for that team, which is, and you brought it up earlier, it's better to be lucky than to be good. In the playoffs, you need to be lucky, because you have to win a coin flip. There's in the poker world, there's a phrase called winning the coin flip. And in tournaments, it's those hands that are a 50-50 shot of winning, and the people that win those tournaments win the coin flips. And in playoff baseball and CIF, and keep in mind, it is the only area in America, high school American baseball, that it's a single elimination tournament. Every other spot in high school baseball, including youth baseball, including college and professional, it's either a series or double elimination tournament. But Southern California, you have to win 5 games. So the ball has to bounce right for you. So, yeah, no, I think it's fair to say that in 06, had that been a ball bounces right year, I think you guys could have you could have competed for a CIF championship. I think it's very fair to say.
And just because you've seen the talent, you've been
Yeah.
there 4 times, you've won once. It's like I always felt like, dude, whoever we played, even preseason, about you not taking it easy on us. I remember playing like Temple City, Arcadia,
Yeah.
Monrovia, these schools that were like a division up on us sometimes, or 2 divisions, the South Hills, and we competed with most of these schools that were, our talent level was not up to par. And so I always felt like, dude, if we could keep up with these schools, we'll keep up with anybody in our district. And then
It's funny that I literally, I'm like, I remember thinking, we're going to win this game. We got a shot to win this game. And then they brought in the kid in the 7th inning that threw like a cutter. It was like 89, 90 mile per hour cutter. The kid, I think, was going to St. Mary's. He throws the first pitch. I'm like, oh, this isn't going to end well. And I knew, as soon as I saw that kid throw the first pitch, I'm like, oh, we're done.
Dude, yeah, we had.
That was and that was one of those weird games. Like I remember, talking to Glenn, and Glenn's the head coach at Woodcrest, and I remember him saying that day, Coach, I absolutely hated losing this coin flip because I knew you had an all dirt infield, and I knew it was going to be a tough day, and and it was, and that was the thing. Like, I go back and laugh now about the friggin' all dirt infield, but it's like you couldn't have almost asked for a better home field advantage. And it wasn't like I taught you guys to bang the ball off the ground and run, but it's just a trip because the thing was as hard as a rock. I learned after year 1 that you don't have to teach a double play depth really, because the ball gets on you so fast. It gave us certain, we knew how to play our field. And winning that coin flip, probably at that time allowed us to stay in that game and gave us a shot to win. And I legitimately believed that we had a great shot to win that game till that kid with that cutter walked on the mound. But, I think if the ball bounces right, we have a shot.
And another thing that Yasad brought up in his episode, I don't know what you can do about it, but you got to call Mountain View administration. That our 06, it has like league champion soccer, 99, 2000.
Yeah.
06 isn't up there anymore. Like it was up there like 2007, 2008, 2009 because of all of our like younger friends that were there.
Right.
But I don't know how he knew, but he brought it up to me. And this was before schools closed and all that. I had not a relative, my ex's younger brother was at the school, and I told him, can you take a picture of the basketball one? And sure enough, there's no 06 up on there. Like it's a new one. It's not the same one as before, but all the other ones are there except 06. I was like, I know we tied, but it.
Right. Now, you know what? When this thing gets cleared up, I'll talk to Lopez. Angel's there now, and I'll talk to him and see if we can figure that out. I know Averill's still there. So I will talk to somebody and see if we can get that taken care of for you.
I mean, it's nothing, but it was just,
but it's something,
yeah.
And it's like, I took you guys in there, every year at the beginning of the season, and sat you there and talked about, do you guys want it to be the year that your number's not hung? That year. And that year especially meant a lot to me. I will see what can be done to get taken care of. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah. This was awesome. Anything you want to add that hasn't been said or anything?
I will say this. The biggest thing that I can say to somebody, and I think has been throughout this whole thing, is in life, in baseball, and everything, it's about enjoying the process.
Hold on. Is this going to be the words of wisdom?
Oh, I thought that's what you wanted.
No. Okay. No. Anything else? Like thank you to your family, your wife, anything that? Plug everybody in.
Okay. Yeah, on that one. Yeah. No, honestly, when it comes to that, the biggest thing is, and I say this every year at the banquet. When we do our banquet, I start out and I thank my wife. my kids, you know, the joke was that when Cole was playing pony, Mustang, Colt, whatever it is, baseball, my wife never had to do the snack bar, because my wife actually, because of me never being around during baseball season, they basically gave her the single parent pass of not having to work snack bar. But without her, I could not have accomplished half the stuff that I have accomplished. Because, you know, I've seen guys that have come through this that have started coaching started coaching later in their lives. And it's such a time commitment. It's easier now that Cole's there at the field, but I remember one year, like literally 1 year, we would play a 3-way, and I would go to the first. We had I think it was a 2017 group actually. In 2016, I would go to the first game of our 3-way, and then I'd leave to go to Cole's game somewhere else. And without her being the person that, you know, takes the kids here and takes the kids there and allows me to, you know, do what I've done, I would not have ever been able to do what I've done without her in my life. And, you know, it's a lot easier now. We live a lot closer, but when I was at Mountain View, the joke always was, and it wasn't a joke, she'd say, "Hey, call me when you leave." And so I'd always call her on my way out. And then sure enough, I'd get involved with talking to Wilson or talking to one of you guys. And then I'd get a phone call 45 minutes later, because that's when I should have been home by then. And it's like, "Where are you?" "I'm getting in the car." "Wait a minute. I thought you were leaving." "I was leaving when I called you," you know, and she has been an amazing partner in this whole ordeal and this whole ride. You know, you look at the amount of money, and there's stress that goes with it, but the amount of money that pro managers make, you look at the amount of money that head college coaches make, and you look at the amount of money we make. And the amount of money we make is, and this is coaching purposes, we're talking only, is not even, it doesn't even, you know, when it's all said and done after taxes and anything that we've spent on baseball throughout the year, it's enough to make sure that I take her out to dinner. But for her to give up a huge portion of her life to allow me to do that is just amazing to see. And I couldn't be blessed more to have somebody to share this journey with than my wife, you know. And that goes for my kids, and obviously Cole has been in love with baseball since you were around, and you know, but my daughter, she likes volleyball. She's not really heavy into sports, and so she has kind of, I guess, maybe taken the brunt of it, but you know, she also likes being around it, you know. And I remember when we won the CIF, she's kept a journal for years. I really don't know how much she keeps it now, but she used to. And I remember stumbling across her journal, and she was writing about the night of the CIF game and how she screamed her voice out, and she was so happy, and you know, and it meant the world to me to at least be able to share that, you know, with them. And I just, you know, I'm extremely blessed on the home front.
That's beautiful. A shout out to, I believe it's Tamara, right? Tamara.
It's very close. You got it right the second time. It's
okay.
Tamara.
Yeah,
yes,
she was my chemistry teacher my senior year.
Yes, and she said, I told her I was doing this, and I said who you, and remember, and I will say, this is a shout out to you, my man. My wife is horrible when it comes to names. And I said who I was doing. She goes, I think I was his teacher. I'm like, you were his teacher.
Yeah.
So she remembered you. So that is a big shout out to you. But yeah,
Shout out to you guys, to your whole family, to your whole squad.
Yeah. But I've been blessed.
That's great. It's not a self-help podcast, but for the audience, some words of wisdom just so we could wrap it up on it's been great, man. This has been one of my favorite episodes. I will not lie. This has been beautiful to reminisce, catch up with you, see you're doing great. Some words of wisdom.
I will say this. This is what I was going to say when I thought this was what this was. Baseball and life, it's about the process. And, you know, I say this every year to the players, and it's become more and more part of me as the years have gone by. And we have goals, and everybody's got goals. And I don't think there's anything wrong with goals, but the problem is when you don't invest in the process and you don't enjoy the process and you don't embrace the process, you lose something in it, because that's truly where you're going to reach or fail in your goal. You don't reach or fail. You don't, you know, it's like you said, you appreciated your whole career at Mountain View High School because of the process. You could have gotten bitter when I put you on JV your junior year, but you enjoyed the process, and it made everything better for you and who you are. And when you take the process out of that, you take the failing out of it, you take the learning out of it, and it's left with a sense of emptiness. And you have to enjoy the process to truly enjoy everything, because it's in the process that you learn who you are, you learn who you can become, and you learn how to be that person that plays above your talent level all the time. And so I think it's truly about embracing the process and loving the process, and not just wanting to cross that finish line.
That was beautiful. Great way to end it, Coach. CIF winning championship baseball coach, Ron Savage. There's no doubt in my mind that there will be more CIF championships in your life.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me. This was beautiful. This was awesome. I'm really glad we did this.
I am too. And as soon as the coronavirus decides to disappear and we're allowed to get out of the house, now that I know that you live 30 minutes away, we will have to get together and
definitely catch up in
some time
person
together, man.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Remember, if no one loves you, Hector loves you. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.